Hello everybody, my name is Skills and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be talking about what it is like to start with fresh OBS. There are plenty of tutorials out there already about how to get started streaming or how to get started recording with OBS. I am going to be doing essentially the same thing, just going through a general overview of what you should be expecting when you open up OBS for the first time. Obviously, I'm not going to be expecting you to watch me download OBS because I'm going to leave a link below down there for that, and you're competent enough to download a piece of software, right? I think you are, so go do it. And then we'll meet you at the opening of what you'll see when you open up your first instance of OBS, and we'll talk you through how setting up your first scene is going to go and just some general basics to get yourself started with OBS. All right, so this is what it's going to look like when you open up OBS for the first time, and it's pretty blank, pretty bare. Again, this is a basics, bare bones beginning of how we're going to set up OBS to get it to do exactly what we're going to do for YouTube recordings, as well as potentially live streams on whatever platform you are on. So again, let's get started, and I want to start in the settings menu. So this is where you're going to be able to, just dial in a couple of the settings that you're going to need for your specific needs. There are definitely more in-depth tutorials that are going to go into what you might need for a specific niche or something like that, specific videos. This is just general settings right away to how you want to be able to set up stuff, how each source will snap together in the actual viewer that we'll get into later. A system tray, whether you want it to be in the system tray all the time or not. Other general Windows stuff, studio mode, dark mode, light mode, stuff like that. Stream is essentially going to be you connecting to your platform of choice. They've got Twitch, YouTube, Facebook Live, Restream, Twitter, and then they've got plenty of other options as well. So all those options exist. I am not going to put anything in here because I specifically set up solely for recording for the most part with OBS, just because I do streaming twice a week and I do YouTube videos 2-3 times a week. So I try and keep OBS set up for recording at its best. But this is where you would throw in your stream key and any other needs that they'd have for your specific platform. And that being said, that's pretty much all the streaming tab is for. Output is essentially the level of quality of video and audio that you're going to be putting out. Simple, just like I said, this is a very simple video, is exactly how we're going to look at it. Video bitrate depends on how powerful your computer is. If you're running a MacBook or something like that, you can probably sit somewhere in the 5,000 to 6,000 range and be generally okay. If you're live streaming, I would take it down to 3,500 to 4,000. Just because you're on a laptop. But if you're not on a MacBook and you're on like an M1 chip and like a Mac Mini or the iMac, you could probably get away with 5,000 to 6,000. I wouldn't go above 6,000 in any circumstance for live streaming, just because most platforms cap it at 6,000, which means you're going to be hitting the upper echelon and might encounter some issues because of that. For recording, the standard is about 10,000 for 1080p 60. If you need to do less than that, you can bring the quality down for like 1080p 24, 1080p 30, 720 if you need to do that. And if you want to do higher than that, you can go as high as 60,000 for 4K, I think is what the standard is for that. But that, again, all depends on the hardware of your computer. So that is up to you. Audio bitrate should always be at 30 or 320. There's not a situation in the world that I think you need to be at like a 160 or like 64 or anything like that. This will just give you the crispest, cleanest audio available to you. Depending on your audio setup, you want it to be as intelligible as possible for your viewers. Audio is one of the most important things that you can think about when making content. The next thing is the recording path. So that was all streaming. This is all the bitrate, right? Obviously, you can set the recording quality to same as stream. I tend to put mine at an indistinguishable quality large size just to try and keep as much of that data as possible and not cap it at certain limits. And then obviously you can choose your recording path, where on your computer you're going to store this file, what type of recording format you want to put it in. I do MP4 just because it's a format that is accepted by most platforms. MOV is another traditional one. MKV is something that they allow you to like pause the recording and do other things with. And there are other options there as well. I'm only familiar with MP4, MOV, and MKV, so I would recommend one of those three. Your encoder is going to be, if you have a dedicated GPU, I'd highly recommend that. But if it's a lower end GPU and it's not something that's going to be able to handle video encoding very well, I would go Software X264. That would just be your CPU doing most of the rendering for you. And for the most part, It's very good. Intel CPUs tend to have a better time in this than Ryzen CPUs, but if you have a higher end Ryzen, you'll be just fine as well. The next setting is audio, adding in all of your audio sources, taking whatever you have available to you, whether it's your speakers over here, behind your monitors, or even in your monitors. Your microphone obviously is going to be one of these things as well, and then setting all those up. So desktop audio would be whatever your main like headphones or anything are. You can set up a second one, like I have mine set up to be second, so I can hear my like Discord and other chat services in a different set of earphones or in a different channel, so that I can separate those differently in OBS. And then you have your mics, and you can have up to 4 mics there. Honestly, you're probably just going to put like an audio interface in the slot 1 and have many mic inputs from that. That's up to you. Do what you've got to do. For me, I'm going to throw the microphone SteelSeries Arctis 1. That's just the microphone that's attached to my headset that I don't even have plugged in, just for reference. And then we'll do my monitor just for a reference thing, so we have it later. These I wouldn't even mess with. Monitoring you can set up later, but those are advanced tutorials we're not going to get into today. Video is another one. So the base canvas resolution is essentially the format in which you're going to be working in when you're placing all the stuff in your scene. The output scaled resolution is what is going to be on the video file. So if you start as a 1080p canvas, the 1920 by 1080, you're going to be building something in a full HD scene, but it might be output to say like 720. If you're streaming, I recommend this just because having that higher bitrate requires even better internet speed, even better encoding settings on your computer. So if you're just kind of getting started and you don't have that powerful of a computer, I go 1920 by 1080 canvas and then go down to 720, 1280 by 720, just to get yourself off the ground. That's currently what I stream in, just because I don't have a lot of encoding settings. And I don't have that powerful of a computer to handle it, but I do 720/60 because I need the frame rate more than I need the resolution. So those things that you can think about as well. Obviously, you have your frame rate settings here that you can choose from as well. And then this is sharpening. Most of the time I tell people to keep it on bicubic just so it doesn't cause any problems later. I know, and I've tested, that I can go on Lanskazos. I don't know how to say that word, but it's a little bit more detailed sharpening. If your computer can handle it, I have a good CPU in my computer, so I can handle scaling it a little bit better, and that would do it. So bicubic is what I recommend, but Lanskazos is what I recommend if you have a powerful PC. Hotkeys, you can set up hotkeys if you want. I have a couple macro keys on my computer. I could set it up to do that if I wanted to. I don't really mess around with macros. You can click. Doesn't really take away from your stream having a macro key. I would recommend buying a stream deck instead of trying to figure out what key combination is what again. Advanced is going to be all of your rendering settings. So you have like your direct 3D, stuff like that. Most of the stuff I would say just leave. I have color range set to full and color space set to 709 because that's Rec 709, the RGB color space, standard for most video websites. I would set it to all of this, and I would, if you can, set the color range to full. That just gives you more dynamic range and availability there. The only other thing that I would touch in the advanced category is your network. So where it says bind to IP, whether you're on Wi-Fi and whether you're on Ethernet, I'm plugged into Ethernet. So I would set it to the IP that's set specifically for Ethernet without all these little numbers in front of it. I would just do the IP number right there, and then don't deal with anything after that. And once you've figured that out, I think you will be all set. Hit apply, and those things will be available to you in your OBS set. Now we're going to get into building your first scene and what that's going to look like. So as you can see, we have scene 1 here, obviously very simple. We're going to add just a couple of things to get you guys started on what it's going to look like. Let's go ahead and open up a window capture. We'll just open a Chrome window and set that as the setting here for what we want to look at. Come on. We don't want that. Hold on, we're going to close this. Hit properties and boom, it gives me a Chrome tab. So we'll have the Chrome tab there as an option, just as something that sits in the frame so it knows what we can do. Obviously you have your points here that can transform and drag. You would be able to like flip it upside down if you absolutely have to, or do whatever you got to do, but this allows you to size things better. and get them to the frame that you want it to be. I have a 1080p monitor, so it sits in a 1080p space just fine. I have a feeling I'm not going to be able to do my video capture device. Just a thought. So we're just going to have the OBS virtual camera that's turned off right now as like a webcam setting that you can just easily throw in this one way or the other. That way, this is just kind of playing as my webcam. But again, stacking things on top of each other, very simple. You can also, in the box down below where it says your sources, you can move things up and down, whether you want them on top of one thing and not the other, or layer them how exactly you want to layer them in sources. And then scenes, obviously, you can have a different scene that you can switch between with a fade setting. Your scene transitions, I recommend cut, just because it's simple, clean, nice, easy cut. So there's not as much time being taken up by a transition. Another easy one is fade. It just fades to the next thing, fades to the other thing. Not too big of a deal there. But without further ado, that is going to do it for me, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you guys have any more comments, questions, or concerns about what you need to learn in OBS or any other tutorial ideas that you guys want to have, whether it be OBS, DaVinci Resolve, Photoshop, Lightroom, any of the programs that I'm pretty fluent in, I'd be more than happy to make tutorials for you. So again, let me know in the comment section down below what you guys want to see. Join the Discord if you have specific questions that you want to ask me that I might be able to answer off video or off stream. Check out my live streams on Sundays and Mondays at this very channel, so click subscribe if you want to go see those. Like this video. Go check out my merch. Donation links are also down in the description. Whatever you guys want to do, however you guys want to interact with me, please do so down below. And I appreciate you guys very much. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, bye.